Good morning. We're new around here, so I thought we'd introduce ourselves. I'm Jill.
I'm Terry.
And we're traveling around in our self-converted van, Tumbleweed.
Along with our dog, Tokai, who is a Hungarian, very spoiled pulley.
This little monster right here is our puppy dog, Tokai. He's a Hungarian pulley, and he might be the spoiledest pooch in the world. I'm going to show you where we went on the map. We were exploring the Maramures area of Romania, and we started out near the little town of Satu Mare, traveled along here, and this is where we saw a sign on the side of the road for the Holy Trinity Moiseni Monastery. So we went and explored that, and then we continued along up here to the town of Sapanta. And Sapanta is where we saw both the Mary Cemetery and the Peri Sapanta Monastery. And that monastery has the tallest wooden church building in Europe. And then followed along the river and the border with the Ukraine to this unpronounceable town of Sigatu Marmatai. We are at the old deserted border crossing. Nobody's home, just like the storks. And here's somebody. Are they gonna stop us? Oh, yes, they are. Anti-fraud. Throw your window down, dude.
Hello, inspector antifraudă în bancă. Ce transportați? Open door back.
And we're in Romania. Alrighty. A small Romanian town. I will point out the sunshine. It's lovely. Good morning, everybody. Well, Tokai and I are out on our morning walk, and we have found the sunshine, which is a really vast improvement. But as you know, when it's clear, a lot of times it's often colder, so it's freezing today, which, I don't know. You know, when you live in Italy, you don't encounter that much freezing, so it seems pretty cold. But anyway, it's a sunny day, so that makes me happy. I got back from my walk, just had a great talk with a guy who was up in the woods gathering firewood, and he told me that what I heard last night was indeed wolves. I wasn't sure, and I thought, oh, it's just dogs howling. But he said, no, they've got wolves in the area. They don't come down to where the people are, but they follow the sheep, as you might imagine. He was a really friendly guy. He had lived in Italy, so we could speak to each other, which was fun. And he taught me my first Romanian word, which was mesomes, I think, something like that. Thank you. Up ahead of us, we have mountains. I think they are the Carpathian Mountains. And there we have a mistletoe tree. Interesting phenomenon. The mountains are closer just because we haven't been cold enough. These with the four domes are Orthodox. We were just traveling along the road toward our destination, and we saw a sign for this monastery and thought, well, let's go check it out. Good afternoon. We were just driving along on the way to our destination. We saw this sign and we seemed to have found ourselves at a monastery. There's tumbleweed beside what I assume is the bell tower. Ah, no, this is the bell tower. Detail on this shingling is absolutely incredible. Incredible workmanship. Orthodox sanctuaries typically don't have pews, as the worshippers stand during the services. And the sanctuary is also divided by a wall, and it's called an iconostasis, and it is covered with the icons that represent people who are important in that faith. That upright stick with the hole in the back is something they carry over their shoulder and hit with those mallets that are there to have a call to worship. And I would assume that this board on the side functions in the same capacity. The woman, Pietrodonna, who rang the bells and did the call to worship, saw me wandering around and obviously interested, and so she stopped and talked to me and explained a few things about the Orthodox Church. She told me that up until 1054 it was essentially one church, but then it divided along east-west lines for theological and also political reasons. As we were getting ready to leave, she asked me to wait a minute, and she went back into the church and she came out with pamphlets and brochure and an icon that is displayed in the church, a copy of that icon, and she gifted them to me. I don't think she was proselytizing or anything. I think it was just her way of expressing her faith and sharing it. Romanian flags flying. We're here in the Maramures region of Romania, headed to Sapanta to explore two things: the Mary Cemetery and the famous wooden churches of the area, noted for their tall, tall spires. We're in Sapunta to visit the Mary Cemetery. The cemetery is famous for its colorful, hand-painted and hand-sculpted tombstones that reflect the life of the person who has died, and these incredibly high steeples. More on that story later. Good morning, everybody. I find myself at Sapanta, S-A-P-A-N-T-A, in Romania, and I am at Cemetery Vesel. It is also known in English as the Mary Cemetery. So let's go see why. These grave markers are colorful. There's a lot of blue, and they often have a caricature of the person who died, or their profession, or the things they were passionate about. It's called the Mary Cemetery because it recalls the happy memories of the people's lives who are buried here. After my own heart, a textile lover, a spinner, a clarinetist. This is all the idea and inspiration of one artist, Stan Patras. He started carving them in the 1930s, and by the time we got to the 1960s, there were over 800 of them. The graveyard surrounds this local church, the Church of the Assumption. I'm hoping this lady, a spinner, and this lady, a weaver, were friends, and they made beautiful fabric together.
I found this place to be very interesting. One of the most colorful, maybe happy cemeteries I've ever been to.
This is true. This is true. You can imagine the lives of the people that are buried here. This is the house of the artist, the creator, the inspiration behind the Mary Cemetery. This is the church of Archangel Michael at the Peri Sapanta Monastery, and it is the tallest wooden church in Europe. These wooden churches are characteristic of the Maramures area of Romania, and they are noted for their high spires and their double eaves. Building in wood was the result of an edict by the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. That was a Catholic dynasty, and these churches are Orthodox. So the Austrian-Hungarian Empire decreed that they could only build in wood. But luckily for the Orthodox congregations, they were surrounded by bountiful forests and had a long tradition of woodworking and wood carving. The Church of St. Michael the Archangel is not an old church. In fact, construction began in 1998, but the monastery itself replaces an older monastery that had been in the area for centuries. The monastery is built along the banks of the Tisla River, and it currently supports a community of nuns. The spire is said to be visible for 5 kilometers into the surrounding countryside. There's some disagreement as to whether it actually is the tallest wooden church in the world, but it's pretty tall. There are about 100 wooden churches left standing in the Maramures region of Romania, and 8 have been inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. These churches, built of timber and time, serve as a physical representation of faith and spirituality. These churches beautifully reflect the woodworking skills of the Maramures region of Romania and reflect the beautiful traditions of the country. We are running right along the border. The border is the river Tisla, same one we were along in Hungary. And looking on the map, there doesn't appear to be any crossings to Ukraine. Or I'd probably go plant my flag. We just entered this town, and the town name was unpronounceable in 3 languages: Romanian, Hungarian, and Ukrainian. Here's a very contemporary bell tower. 4 bells. If you're enjoying following along with our adventures, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Would love to have you join us on the next one as we explore the Bukovina region of Romania.